This week, we're checking out the food scene in Hope, BC. The historic little town of Hope sits right at the head of the broad and fertile Fraser Valley, where the Coquihalla joins the mighty Fraser River. It's dominated by the towering peaks of the Cascade Mountains to the east and the Coast Mountains to the west. And like any other mountain town, it is surrounded by a myriad of outdoor opportunities. In this case, hiking the famous Othello tunnels. These tunnels were carved through solid granite in the early 1900s to allow Canadians better access to the Kootenay's burgeoning mining industry via the now defunct Kettle Valley Railway. Now it is part of the Trans-Canada Trail Network. The town itself has a cozy old-fashioned feel with a traditional main street. It is home to the Blue Moose Coffee House, which is just how I imagine a small-town coffee house should be. Friendly, great smells, delicious homemade food, and it is always busy. Wandering around, you can't help but notice the eclectic variety of chainsaw carvings distributed throughout Hope. The town bills itself as the chainsaw carving capital of Canada and hosts an international carving competition every 2 years. How long has this been going on? I mean, this is not a new thing, I presume, but...
No, it started out over 20 years ago. When it happened, we had a tree fall down in Hope.
Right.
And somebody got the idea of making it into a carving.
Okay.
So the mayor and council at the time decided that'd be a good thing. And
Pete has been carving with a chainsaw for over 40 years. He produces amazingly detailed carvings at his woodshop just outside of Hope. Despite his obvious talent, he's still fairly modest. What got you started in chainsaw carving?
Money.
Money.
Made one, sold one. Made two, sold two.
Yeah. So how long will something like this take you from start to finish?
And they can take anywhere from 3 days to a week, you know.
And I understand your products have sort of traveled quite long distances from here.
Oh yeah, I've been China, all over the world. Japan, down the States.
And of course, I asked to see Pete in action.
Rough idea.
That's awesome. That's tremendous, Pete. And that took what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the outside?
Oh,
and then now you can rough
all day?
Yeah, you can. That's great. Welcome back to Hope, BC. Just up the road from Pete Ryan's carving shop is You Grow Food Aquaponics. Tucked away in a local backyard is this small greenhouse. It may not look like much, but as a chef, this is one of the most exciting places I've visited on this show. Good morning. You must be Stephanie.
I am.
I'm meeting Stephanie Hooker, who a few years ago set out to solve a problem.
We were just a bunch of folk living in Hope who really enjoyed this place, and we couldn't understand why there were no food producers. And in fact, Hope has traditionally been a bit of a food desert.
High mountains and a narrow valley bottom made large-scale growing difficult, so they decided to try something new.
We grow fish and plants in a recirculating system. We mimic a wetland ecosystem. Right. So we've created a mechanical wetland, and it means that we can intensively grow year-round, chemical-free, and in a really productive way. So. And
I'm really excited to see how it actually works. Can we go inside?
Yeah, well, come on in. We'll show you around.
Inside the greenhouse looks fairly conventional, with neat rows of densely packed plants. But in the far corner, there are 3 large tanks.
Okay, so come meet the fish.
Oh wow, look at these guys.
Yeah, so these are tilapia. They're school fish. They like to be densely stocked.
Yep.
And in fact, if we get down to about 12 fish in this tank, they'll start to get kind of lonely, and that can lead to sickness. And so we'll have to put the next level of fish in and kind of give them some company. In traditional fish farming or aquaculture, as they eat, they're producing waste.
Yep.
And their waste is really high in ammonia, which is actually toxic to fish. It's why when you have a fish aquarium at home, you have to have filtration.
Yep.
And so on a large scale, you can imagine on a large scale fish farm, it'd be really difficult to have filtration that would take care of all that ammonia. In this system, we recirculate this water through all of these grow beds. Right. And by the time the water returns to the fish, it's been biofiltered to a level that they can tolerate.
So not only are you utilizing the fish waste, you're taking the plant waste and you're bringing it back in. You're not using a huge volume of water to do all
No,
this.
aquaponics makes us about 90% more water efficient than any other type of agriculture.
Right. The produce floats on styrofoam rafts in shallow water tanks, almost as if on a conveyor. And the whole operation works as a closed-loop system with the same water circulating throughout. While the fish may take a little longer to grow to a saleable size, the plants actually grow considerably faster than in a conventional greenhouse arrangement. How does it actually work? What goes on under the...
Yeah, so really it's very simple. Again, we don't have a horticulture background, so we had to keep it very simple for us.
Oh, so there's no soil at all in here?
There's no soil at all. And so one of the things that's a little different with aquaponics is that you don't ever want to have any soil. You don't even want to do your plant starts in soil because soil can carry pathogens that are harmful to fish.
Oh,
and so we start all of our seedlings in coco coir material.
Right.
And then once they're to a certain size, we transplant them into these net pots, which are just filled with like a pea gravel.
Pea gravel. Wow.
Mostly in this greenhouse, we've got set up with net pots, and so their roots dangle in the water. They're on these floating rafts, and that really is conducive to leafy greens and culinary herbs.
Right.
There's other types of grow methods. You can do media beds as well. We've done that in the past, and so then you can get into more plants that need a lot more lateral support.
Okay.
So melons and squashes, and you can do beets in there and things like that.
Right.
And then outside we have some wicking beds that allow us to do a soil aquaponic hybrid, and that's how we do our root veg. The reason that we love aquaponics so much is because the quality and the flavor of the plants.
Right.
When you're doing an ecosystem garden, the nutrition that the plants are getting is so bioavailable that they're not working to take it up. They're getting everything that they need, and what ends up happening is that the flavors become quite intense and the growth rates are really good. And you can see we've got these plants really close together because they're not competing for nutrients.
So the big question is, how do they taste?
This is a leaf fennel,
Okay.
and anything you don't like you can toss to the fish because they are omnivores.
Oh, really? So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can anybody doesn't get on your nerves in the tank they
Exactly,
go?
yeah. Unruly children, you name it.
Wow.
Isn't that nice?
That.
And it's just a very simple leaf fennel, but we attract a lot of chefs actually and caterers because the flavor profiles in the herbs especially is really intense.
It's very pronounced. It's very prominent.
Yeah.
It is definitely fennel, and it's smooth. Fennel can sometimes have that kind of bitterness at the end.
Yeah,
This
we
does
have,
not.
you should be here in the fall, winter when we have our watercress and our mustard greens. There's very few people who can eat our arugula because it is so potent.
So pungent,
Yeah.
so peppery.
Yeah.
This method of growing has huge potential, but it's still early days. Before I left, Stephanie had another treat for me. So what is this? This looks like a grass.
This
Is this lemongrass?
This is lemongrass. Give it a sniff. So fresh, organic, local BC lemongrass.
In Hope, BC.
In Hope,
lemongrass.
BC. Isn't that lovely?
That is
Isn't
tremendous.
that great?
I'm back in town and visiting 293 Wallace Street Restaurant, where Chef Hiro Takeda has something a little different lined up for me to try. He has worked at the world-famous Noma restaurant in Copenhagen, Denmark, which is renowned for pushing the culinary boundaries, so this could be interesting. I've noticed a little cup in the center there with some ants in it.
Absolutely.
What are we going to do with ants today?
During my time in Copenhagen, that's when I was introduced to ants.
Yep.
And the lemon flavor that came out of it, I thought, it'd be perfect for a dessert.
Yeah.
What we do is we freeze them.
Okay.
And so we don't serve them live.
Right.
Really. I think it's a great thing to introduce people to.
Right.
People get very excited about it, so we're excited about it as well.
Excellent.
So we're going to be doing a cheesecake dish with it, actually.
Oh.
This is one of our signature desserts.
Okay.
So we're going to start off with a little bit of a local raspberry puree.
Okay.
So we make this in-house.
Now, Hope is not the first place people would instantly relate to a fine dining restaurant operation. Why Hope?
I think part of it is I like the small town feel. I kind of grew up in the city. When I moved out here 6 years ago, I just really fell in love with this place. I just really fell in love with the community, the local suppliers here, including UGrow. We have a couple foragers that come and bring mushrooms to our back door and so on, and heirloom tomatoes and so on. So what we're gonna do on top of the raspberry, we got some compressed Granny Smith apple.
Lovely.
One of the things that we want to try to do is be friendly with some of the dietary concerns that are available. And so our cheesecake is gluten-free. It's pretty much almost like a cheesecake cream cheese custard.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And
Oh, it
it's
looks beautiful and silky.
Yeah, and it's infused with a little bit of lemon sugar.
Okay.
Get some of our graham.
So this is the gluten version.
Yeah, this is the gluten version. Next up, we're gonna do these plums. So again, with the,
I just love the look of these plums. They're just
Yeah,
they're just so cute.
we're gonna do a little bit of Douglas fir shoots.
Now, are these dried or are these fresh?
They're frozen.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so we pick them and then we freeze them.
Right.
What we find actually, compared to fresh, when we freeze them, it kind of breaks down the texture a little bit, makes it
Right.
a little bit more pleasant to eat.
Yeah,
So
because they're a little bit leathery when they're fresh.
little
aren't they?
bit, yeah.
A little bit chewy.
yeah, you know, we use them like an herb.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's a beautiful flavor. And then, of course, lastly,
And then
we'll-
here come the ants.
Yeah.
Here come the march of the ants. Look at those guys. Well, here I'm really excited about this. This looks just fantastic.
It's all right.
That's fantastic. In fact, I'm going to have some more of the ants just on their own, just to prove to everybody. Wow, when you have the ants on their own, you really get that lemon.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's just that punch of beautiful citrus in there, that nice little crunchy texture. And those plums are spectacular.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed that.
Everything, that whole dish is just a beautiful combination of flavors and textures. So if you find yourself hankering for a few ants, come on down to 293 Wallace Street Restaurant in Hope, and Hero will take care of you. Hero, thank you very, very much.
Thank
that
you.
was absolutely pleasurable. By growing in greenhouses, we're able to get fresh produce all year round, but it does take some ingenuity and some outside help, as I found out when I visited the Taves family farm near Abbotsford.
We definitely depend on the foreign workers because there's a shortage of supply of people that would like to do this type of agricultural work.
Right, right. And that makes your farm feasible, I presume.
Yeah, without it, I would not be farming today.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Inside the greenhouse is a fiesta of colorful veggies. So Lauren, what is the difference between growing in a greenhouse and just growing outdoors during the summer months?
I do outdoor crops as well, and
Right.
there's some crops that just do very well outdoors,
Yeah.
and some that actually do very well both.
Okay.
But some do even better indoors, and that
Right.
would be the vegetable crops that we're
Yeah.
growing here. It's the density is the first thing. I can grow probably about 6 or 7 times, if not more, production in the same area as you can in an outdoor crop.
And this is a perfect example of that, because of course everything's straight up, isn't
Yes.
it? I mean, on here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a dozen eggplants on that.
Yeah, in
single
a square
stalk
meter
easily.
here, we'll grow 30 kilograms of
Wow.
eggplant. That's just huge. You would never see that in an outdoor crop.
So, how many plants are here in this greenhouse? And there's more than one greenhouse, isn't there?
Oh, I think we've got somewhere around 50,000 plants in our greenhouses right now.
Wow. Or are you growing all year round? Or do you have
Almost.
seasonal?
I think we're about 3 months off.
Okay, okay.
So-
So how do you manage to do that in the BC climate?
Of course, we have to give some warmth to the plants. So we have these pipe rails here that we send hot water through.
Okay.
We're very careful. We have screens to keep the temperature in,
Right.
so we don't waste very much heat.
Right.
And it goes to the plant, and it grows these great, wonderful vegetables you're seeing here.
And of course, I understand you use natural gas for your hot
Yes,
water?
absolutely. We are good customers of Fortis. They bring in a lot of natural gas for us every year, and they've been really good about helping me out with trying to save money and how to become more efficient.
Right. And I heard a little piece about the CO2 from the gas. Is
Yeah.
very useful for the growing process?
If you look down over here, you'll see these clear plastic tubes.
Right, okay.
When the natural gas is
Okay,
burned,
I see, yeah.
it's pumped into these tubes through a big fan, and the plants absorb the CO2, and they actually convert it back into vegetable matter and food that you eat. So we're actually taking natural gas and converting it actually into plants.
So you're taking that CO2 and giving it to the plants as another
As a
food
food,
source?
it's a food. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That really is. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome into our studio kitchen today Jason Wolfe,
Thank you.
Director of Energy Solutions for Fortis BC, I gather.
That's right.
We're going to show you how to cook some salmon and some ratatouille and a few other little goodies. So with the pepper, the easiest and the quickest way to do peppers is take the top off, take the bottom off, make a slice down the side like that, and then just kind of unroll it with your knife nice and flat. And there's the core gone. And this particular dish wants to be chunky. So we want to keep everything fairly big. So something like that is going to be just what we're looking for. So if I give you the knife,
Yep.
there's the green pepper. If you want to do that exactly the same, I'm just going to peel the onion and peel the and get the tomatoes ready, and then we'll get you to cut those
I'll
too.
switch. I'm left-handed here, though, so
Okay.
careful.
Oh, lefty. Oh,
I
lefty.
know, I know.
They say lefties are the smart ones.
They do, they do. We'll go with that.
So what's new in the world of gas? I mean, we're very familiar with the the benefits from a cooking perspective.
Yeah.
But what's new in your realm?
Actually, something that kind of touches on food in a sense is renewable natural gas.
Oh.
And that's a little different than than regular natural gas in that it's produced from either farm waste or from waste from a landfill. And then we take
methane.
Methane, you
Okay,
bet. So
right.
cows produce something, and
Right.
we take the methane from that, put it in the pipes, and then deliver it to our customers.
Really? So that is, and now is that accessible to everybody?
That is accessible to everybody. It's an optional program though, so they have to sign up for it.
Okay.
And then you can have part of your gas, or all of your gas if you want, being from a landfill or agriculture.
So you can actually specify what portion of your gas you want to come from renewable sources?
Yes, you can. Anything from 5% to 100%.
Overall, what are the benefits of renewable natural gas over natural gas? Because the whole term natural gas seems like it's natural.
They're both natural, you
Yep.
bet. Little difference in time period. The natural gas we pull out of the ground is from millions of years
Right.
ago. And now we're using just local waste right now, and that is a carbon neutral source.
That's awesome. Okay, so once those tomatoes are done, if you can do about the same thing with the eggplant, and we've got a nice little baby eggplant here, so if you just split that down the middle and then just cut that into slices, just like everything else. Our pan is nice and hot. Now when you're doing anything in a pan, or you're sauteing or frying, you want the pan hot before you add the oil. If you add the oil at the beginning and then bring the temperature up, what happens is the oil can burn and scorch. Whereas what we want to do here is we want the oil in to the hot pan, and then we are immediately going to follow. If I can just reach in and grab these onions first, because they're a little bit harder
Longer to cook.
And then this is a garlicky dish. So I've got about 4 cloves of garlic there, just minced up, and we're going to add those into the onions. So all we want to do is just basically sweat the onions. If I can give you the spatula. You don't want to move them too much. Just sort of keep an eye on them.
Gotta
You want
keep the garlic from burning.
Exactly. Into here, we're going to put our Vancouver Island sea salt. Okay. While that's doing its thing, I'm going to get out our beautiful fresh West Coast pink salmon. Okay, so I see a little bit of color just
translucent.
happening on the garlic, which is perfect. So pepper's next. So again, every time you add something, a little bit more of the salt. That's going to just do its thing with the peppers now. So there's the peppers just got going. Then we're going to throw the eggplant in there. We'll do the same with that. Give that a little bit of a turn. The color's great on there. You can see we're just getting a little tiny bit of caramelization in the bottom. So this is where we're going to use the fluid component of the tomato. And all that tomato and the tomato juice that goes in there is now going to just lift all that stuff up off the bottom. Now, while you're finishing that, I'm going to get our salmon ready for baking. I've got our oven turned on to 400 degrees or 200 degrees centigrade. Now, you need a piece of foil large enough to be able to wrap the fish, and I've only got a small roll here, so I'm going to do a little trick with the foil to basically double its size. If you take your foil and do 2 layers, and then just fold one edge over a couple of times. What that does, there we go, and then you open it up, and now you have that nice large sheet of foil, which is going to be plenty big enough to get our fish into.
Okay, these are all the tricks you don't learn when you're cooking at home.
These are the tricks. The other thing you want to do is just oil your
Little
foil
oil.
a little bit, and just a couple of drops of that olive oil is fine on there, and that'll just stop it from sticking to the fish. Okay. So we're going to bring our fish over. I just want to give the fish as well a little bit of seasoning inside. A little bit of pepper. So that can go off now. We're done with that.
What was that one? There we go.
Perfect. And if you want to just bring that right over here, I'm going to hold the fish kind of up and open. If you can just sort of tip that ratatouille into the cavity there. Probably is not going to need all of it, but we're just going to fill it quite generously. There. That's perfect. That should be good.
There you go.
Okay, and then we just kind of wrap the fish around that. If I can have those lemon slices just on the far side of you. You want to just put those across the top of the fish. And then you just take your foil, bring it up top, and just fold the top over there. There we go. And then we're just going to lift that up onto our baking sheet. If I can ask you just to pop the top oven door open there. And straight into the oven. Now, as I say, this is quite a hot oven. I've got this at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 centigrade.
So we're poaching salmon now.
It won't take very long, as I say, 25, 30 minutes.
That's pretty quick. You could even do this after you come home from work. It's that
Absolutely.
quick.
And there we go.
That looks fabulous.
There's our salmon baked with ratatouille.
This is actually quite a complex dish. Ratatouille is quite earthy, but there is some nice, lovely green aspects to it. And then with the citrus on the salmon, you have to take that into account. The wine that popped into my head was the elderly Pinot Noir. I've chosen this Pinot Noir because although it does have a delicate note when you first sip it, it's got some wonderful, big, bold, juicy flavors. And I think that the tannins in it will really play off the tomatoes and make that ratatouille shine. For the beer, I've chosen the Streets. It's a collaboration beer brewed by Powell Street and Main Street Brewing from Vancouver. The Streets is a Scottish golden ale. And the reason why I've chosen this beer to go with the ratatouille is that maltiness that comes from a golden ale. No real hops to it. Just nice richness. But the fun thing of this, it does have an oaky nature and a little bit of a smoky nature too, because half of this beer was aged in oak barrels. I think it's the oaky aspect of this beer that's really gonna complement the earthiness of the ratatouille and just enhance all the flavors.